Hello, 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 and welcome to BlackBox. You are joined by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and unfortunately, Az is not able to be with us tonight, but don't worry because we've got one hell of a stand-in for all of you. Oscar, welcome to BlackBox. I believe this is your hat-trick appearance. How's it going, my man? Have you completely lost my audio?
I think I heard you twice there. I don't know if it's super delayed or what's just happened. Yeah, I'm hearing you twice. It's like a 5-second delay on the echo, so I don't think I'll be able to factor in that for a whole show, if I'm honest.
Well, this has gone well.
Yeah,
hang on.
I don't know what's caused that. Is that something my end?
I'm guess. I have no idea. Let me. Shall we start again? Hang on. Try again. Right, we should be back, and hopefully Oscar can hear me, and it's absolutely fine now. So let's see what happens. Oscar, welcome to BlackBox. Can you hear me?
Hang on.
Oh no! What's going on?
Wait, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can, but I can hear you twice. If I mute this. Wait, say something now?
Hello. Yes, you should be able to hear me.
Boom. Okay, I think we're good.
Yes, there we go. Don't know what was going on
I'm
there.
really sorry if that was me. I don't know if it was, but Andy was having technical issues as well, and it took us so long to get ready, so that's why we're a little bit late. So apologies. In the chat, they said Az is sabotaging the show somehow.
Yes, probably. He's there, probably in some remote place with a laptop, just trying to somehow sabotage us. Could you let us know in the chat if our audio's fine? It's still, hopefully, it should be absolutely fine now, but do let us know. Oscar, how's it going, my man? Obviously a hell of a season for you, and we're thrilled to have you back on BlackBox for your hat-trick appearance.
Yeah, this is the third. Yeah, it's been a pretty good season. I've definitely got quite lucky along the way. I definitely won't dispute that. There's been a few moments, definitely, like there was that game where Mukiele scored, kept the clean sheet. There was a game where I brought in Rodon. So a few things like that, I've just been like really lucky and have definitely helped me have a pretty good season so far. I've used all my chips up though, so I don't know how the next few weeks will go. Like I guess people are going to be spamming the chips if they've still got them because obviously we have to use them up. But yeah, pleased with how the season's going.
Mate, it could be worse. You could have no chips left and be at my rank, which is what's happened to me. But it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, we're going to be talking a little bit tonight about, you know, you've had a good start to the season, 17k, which you've got to be absolutely thrilled with. And we want to have a little bit of a chat about kind of why that's happened. You know, is there anything you can put your finger on as to why you've had a good start to your season? And obviously, if you can kind of put your finger on it, it's going to really help people. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're also going to be looking at our points in our teams. We're going to be looking at Great and the Good League. We got our talking points, 4 really good talking points tonight. We've got all our tables and we've got all our Patreon stuff at the end as well. So we've got an awful lot to talk about, and we've got just under 200 people in the chat already. So thank you for joining us. Let's bring up our talking point straight away because let's bring up our talking point straight away because the thing I wanted to show on the talking point straight away was succeeding, which is why we've got the crown up here. And it's, can you put your finger on exactly what you've done this season to be 17k after 17 game weeks? Is it something that you think, yeah, do you know what? I actively said I was going to do this and it's worked. Is there a luck factor in it? Is there something that's changed? Talk to us.
Yeah, it's definitely a game of luck, isn't it? Like, let's be honest. You can make what you think are good decisions and still come out bad. Like earlier in the season, you know, I had Bruno Fernandes and people were like, he's missed 2 penalties. And obviously now it's finally like leveled out a bit and Bruno's smashing it. So yeah, definitely luck's a massive part. Chips have gone pretty well. I mean, I did triple captain Haaland for the 2 points, so that was a bit of a disaster. But the wild card, like, got that at the right time. The free hit, it was a decent week in terms of points gained. I don't know. It's hard to like kind of say exactly what. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. And I think honestly, it's just been a pretty lucky season.
I mean, I know me and Az spoke about this a little while ago about if you had to put a number, a percentage on how much you think this game is luck, what would you say? Because you've had a good season. So are you starting to think maybe there's less luck involved, or do you think there's even more luck involved when you're having a good year?
I mean, I'd be interested to know, like, people in the chat, what would they say the split is? So, yeah, I would say maybe this is controversial. I'd say maybe 20% luck. Like, I still think if you spend a lot of time planning and these sort of things, getting your chip strategy right, really putting the thought into it, all these little minute things, following price changes can help. I think that can help a lot. I'd say 20% luck, something like that. What would you say?
Well, because I'm not doing very well, I'd say it's 95% luck, probably.
FPL Hill says 95%. Altash says 40-60. Nixie says 75-25. Connor says 50-50. So pretty split opinions on that.
Yeah, I think you definitely make some of your own luck with some of the decisions you make, but some of the swings that can happen for no reason can obviously kill you, and it does seem like there's some unluckiness or luckiness in there. But I mean, we look at your points this week, 85 points this week. I mean, that midfield definitely isn't luck, is it? Talk us through how it happened, and talk us through how many of your transfers you used as well.
So I made 4 transfers. One of them was Mateta to Gue. Because I wanted to make some upgrades elsewhere basically and just switch to a 4-4-2. It was Enzo to Foden. I did Truffer to Timber, and then the last one I didn't plan to do, but I had Munoz and then I had Timber flagged, so I felt like obviously you have to sort of protect yourself in FPL sometimes in terms of your bench, and I wasn't sure if Timber was going to play, so I didn't like not having a bench, so I went early and did Munoz to O'Reilly as well, because I just thought O'Reilly looks great. Obviously he's ended up starting tonight in the League Cup. I think he's gone off second half, so that's encouraging. I think Vardiel came on, so I think he probably starts against West Ham still, and I just really wanted him for the next game, really, but I just felt like he was startable against Palace, so I did that as well. Actually, would have been better off if I hadn't done that, because Mukiele obviously kept the clean sheet, ended up with the 8 points. I think he got an assist, didn't he, for the Voltemada goal. So, but anyway, that's fine. That is what it is. I'm still conscious that my bench is quite light. I've got Gue and Bar there, so basically every week right now I've just got one player on the bench. So that's something I do want to kind of address, especially because from next game week, it's like 4 game weeks in 11 days. So I think we're going to get a lot of rotation chaos. It's going to be hard to predict. So I could see myself maybe moving Semenyo down to someone cheaper after the Burnley game, and then maybe redistribute that funds to upgrade Bar, maybe to like a Wilson or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with the team. But it was another good game week. It was a red arrow, like I know a lot of people out there heading into Monday night, and I just needed Bruno to sort of rescue the game week again, and luckily he did. And Semenyo also scored. So it was a nice end to the game week, and that was a green arrow to about 17k now.
Yeah, I think some of United games have been changed to Monday nights again, so he's just going to continue to save us. But looking at your team, I had no idea Demba Ba was still playing, so fair play to obviously have him in your team and warming your bench. But no, it's a great team, 85 points, which, like I said, you cannot be sniffed at, and a green arrow up to 17k. I had 78 points this week. I used 3 of my transfers, so Raya, Timber, O'Reilly and Anderson, with only O'Reilly getting me some points there with 6. Foden 11, I brought him in. Bruno Fernandes 13, Saka 22, Minter with 2, who I'm keeping this week because he's got a good fixture, but it's a shame. I brought him in 3-4 weeks ago, and he's just not done much, unfortunately. Xhaka with 3, and I had Mukiele on the bench as well with Thiago 2, and
as well.
I did, which looked okay after 2 interesting assists. But I thought it was quite interesting. We both had Mukiele because we both quite like owning a differential defender, don't we? When our Wan-Bissaka days, was that last year?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, well remembered. Yeah, I forgot about that. Wan-Bissaka absolutely just went on that run our last season after we picked him up. And every week we're sort of celebrating and messaging each other like, Andy, Wan-Bissaka, come on. Yeah, Mukiele's sort of been that player. Did you have him early in the season for that 17 points?
Oh, no, I didn't, no. And no, I know. I do love him, though. And obviously, when DEFCON came in, he was the first player I thought of because I thought he's going to kill it for DEFCON. But he's obviously off now, isn't he? So, but Mukiele's been a good little player for us. You said you didn't have him for the Hull earlier on in the season, Mukiele.
Yeah, I did. So
He
scored clean sheet and DEFCON, so it's 17 points. And that was a bench boost week as well. So just that sort of thing, like if that just sort of lines up perfectly, that's a sort of bit of luck that can just make a difference to kind of nudge you up the ranks to somewhere that you wouldn't have been otherwise. So, honestly, just a few things like that have gone favourably. And I think it was literally the next week I brought in Rodon because he had West Ham. And I think Leeds conceded, but he scored a header off a corner. So, just a couple of weeks like that back-to-back can sort of change a season if you just get that one really good game week rank, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, it really would. And when I'm looking at the talking points, one of the ones that is on here is patience versus aggression as well. So that's our kind of second talking point. And I wanted to bring this one up because I feel like majority of the time in FPL, and for a lot of seasons before this one, it's all been about patience. And if you can just be patient, maybe keep a player 1 week or 2 weeks longer than you think you maybe need to, it's usually rewarded. And obviously you then have transfers that you can spend extra. With the amount of transfers we've been given this year, which is more than we've ever been given, and with the weird way bandwagons are working at the moment, where you can jump on a player and they've just continued to do well. So like Foden's an example of that. Harry Wilson's an example of that. What's your thoughts on kind of playing patient at the moment or playing aggressive? Because obviously you're having a good season. Do you think you've been a bit more aggressive than normal this season?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, there's never been a season like it because obviously we've been aware of getting these 5 free transfers being topped up, but then we've also got the double chips. Yeah. So it just feels like we've had multiple ways to get out of a bad spot this season, which is new. We've never been like that before. Like, to use an example, this game week that's just been, I made 3 transfers on Saturday night, which I've never done in my 13 years playing FPL. Mid game week, I made 3 transfers because I was going to be priced out of having those players I wanted, Foden and Timber it was. Yeah. And it was like, I'd do it now or I'm not going to have them. So I ended up just going on this Saturday night, and I was like, I still have 2 more free transfers. So yeah, I think this season definitely a bit more aggressive. Obviously we haven't got the 5 free transfers to build towards, but yeah, I think you can make a case for it. I don't know about the second half of the season. Maybe we have to look at the season in 2 halves, because the first half is sort of like there's nowhere obvious to use your free hit. So there's sort of that get out of jail card, isn't there? But the second half of the season, I think it's going to be back to business as usual, where we're sort of like looking at where's the doubles going to be? Do I free hit in a double or a blank? Where's the wild card and the triple captain bench boost going? It's generally revolves around the doubles, doesn't it? So maybe second half of the season, I might have to calm down with the free transfers.
Yeah, it's wild at the moment as well, in terms of, like you said, Saturday night you had to make your transfers. I did the same. I brought exactly the same 2 players in on Saturday night because I knew that I would lose so much value if I didn't do it. And Foden's gone up, is it 0.9 or something silly in the last 3 game weeks? And it's ridiculous in terms of how many moves are being made. What you could say is FPL are probably extremely happy because they put in all these new rules and 5 free transfers, and more people are engaged than ever because price changes are absolutely crazy at the moment. And I think maybe there's probably a balance between the two, isn't there? Like, you got given 5 free transfers. You don't have to use all 5, but Mark Southern's used all 5, got 101 points this week. You got 85 points with it. Whoa. Yeah, he did, yeah. And obviously you got 4 points. 4 points. You got 85 points. So I think there's definitely a balance to be had, but is there a little bit of recency bias at the moment with the fact that people jumped on Foden quickly? He's done incredibly well over the last 4 or 5 weeks. People jumped on Wilson. He's done incredibly well over 4 or 5 weeks. It doesn't always happen like that, does it?
No, definitely not. I think generally patience is definitely the right way to play FPL, and I'm generally actually quite reluctant to spend transfers because having those banked can really get you out of a difficult spot, keeps you more flexible. Yeah, wow. So I'm just looking. Mark brought in Bruno, Wilson, and Bowen, so he gained 20 points off his transfers. Yeah, that's a huge game week, isn't it? Plus 20 he gained off those 5.
Absolutely killed
points.
Yeah,
nice.
And that's the thing. So now he's made those transfers. He's got a massive gain, and probably too much of a gain to argue against it. But do you think with that team he's got now, that's the template now? How quickly is that template going to change? And how much is he going to be behind maybe being able to get to the next template? So, for instance, I think it's Everton, Liverpool, and there's another team that their fixtures kind of change quite quickly in game week 18, and all of a sudden you're going to be wanting to jump on those. Yeah. Is it kind of short-term gain? Is it going to be that he's kind of a little bit behind when he gets to those game weeks? What do you think?
I think Bowen and Wilson are like proper Mark players, aren't they? Like I really can see Bowen being the next potential bandwagon. I was looking at the West Ham's fixtures. Obviously, he's their talisman. He's going to play all the games over winter. They've got City, obviously, next game. But after that, it's like Fulham, Brighton, Wolves, Forest, Spurs, Sunderland, Chelsea, Burnley. So like he's good for like maybe 8-9 game weeks, Bowen. And then obviously Wilson, like if he carries on doing what he's doing, he could be this season's Palmer. Probably not to that extent. Or maybe this season's Rodgers is probably a better comparison. But No, I think those sort of moves are potentially ahead of the curve, if anything. Yeah, it's always hard to predict like where the template's going to go, but if you can get ahead of it, then obviously that's where you can make the massive gains. And I guess that's another an example of like how to do well in FPL. If you can identify those players before everyone else, then yeah, that's a quick way to climb up the ranks as well. But easier said than done.
And it's not just identifying either, is it? It's knowing when a player is just a flash in the pan, I guess. And that kind of brings us on to, it's not our third talking point, it's our fourth one. So I'll bring this one up next, but it's Harry Wilson. Because, like you just said, is he the next Cole Palmer? Like, what he's doing at the moment seems to be incredible. Yeah. He's just had his Burnley game. And I have said on Twitter a few times that I'm always cautious saying a player is worth buying after playing Burnley, because obviously that is the best fixture. But if you have a look at the stats, and Az has set this up for us to show us the comparison between Harry Wilson going back 4 years now. And actually, if you look back at his last 4 years, especially last season, he was actually doing quite well. His stats are pretty good, even though his starts have always been sporadic, and he's only ever had 16 starts as a maximum in the Premier League, and that was 2 years ago in 23-24. But his actual stats aren't too bad. If you look at his XG non-penalty per 90, in 24-25 it was up to 0.33. XG non-penalty per 90 was XGI, was 0.42 in 24-25. Last year it was 0.20, 0.22. He's actually not doing that bad with the time he has. So is this kind of showing us that when he plays, he is actually a very good FPL asset, and at the moment he's in one of those, green patches where it might be worth owning him?
Yeah, for me, he's always been one of those players. Like, he goes through these patches, and you're like, oh, maybe Wilson, but then he ends up coming off pre-60, bench the next match, and he's just inconsistent for starts. But this season it has been a different story, and like Marco Silva said himself, I think he said he was my first ever signing when he joined, and he said this is going to be his best ever season numbers wise. So yeah, it's quite a strong statement from the manager. So yeah, I think he's a really good pick for, was he 5.6 mil?
Yeah.
Interesting looking at the data like that though. So not his best season in terms of underlying data in many respects, but he's just always been lacking that nailedness, and maybe that's what he's got now. So yeah, I think he's a nice pick.
Do you think it will hurt him with certain players going to AFCON? So, for instance, Iwobi, Chukwueze, they're going to AFCON, and they've been very, very good this year in terms of making Fulham effective. Do you think that's going to have an impact? Because when we look at the hop on, hop off, which is from Lego Mane, by the way, which is awesome, and we've got a nice little black line down 16, because obviously it's not happening now. But when you look at Fulham's fixtures, on paper, Nottingham Forest and West Ham look quite nice, but then it's Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Chelsea, not so nice. Are they as easy as we think, those fixtures now, Forest and West Ham? Are we expecting returns in those games?
I think, Forest not necessarily an easy fixture, but it's definitely playable. But when someone's 5.6 mil, they're cheap enough where you can rotate them to your bench in some tougher games there, like Liverpool and Chelsea coming up. So, I don't think, in terms of like the AFCON question, I don't think it's worth like overthinking it. It's hard to predict how teams are going to be affected. I think Man United in theory, because they're missing like some really key players, but Iwobi and Chukwueze, I don't think it would equate to like Fulham completely dropping off or the end of Wilson as an option. So yeah, I'm trying not to factor that into my thinking too much personally.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the other big thing about Wilson, I'll bring back up his stats as well, is who would you move out to get him in? So who would you feel confident moving out to get him in? So if I just chucked a few players at you, you tell me if you'd move them out to get him in. So for instance, Dewsbury Hall. If you own Dewsbury Hall, would you feel confident getting rid of him and bringing Harry Wilson in? If you had money to do it, obviously.
That's actually a difficult question, because I really like Everton's fixtures, and I like Dewsbury Hall for a bit cheaper. I don't think I'd do that, but I don't think I'm as bullish on Wilson as some other people are. I don't know if I would do that. But it depends on Dewsbury Hall's his injury, obviously. Like if he's out next game week or beyond, then yeah, probably would. Yeah.
Would you downgrade Bruno Guimaraes to Harry Wilson?
Oh, nah.
Nah.
Would you?
I'd be tempted. It'd free up some money. Like you said, the thing is with Wilson is he is ridiculously cheap. I mean, he's not going to be for much longer, because I think he's had over 1 million people transfer him in this week, but he's obviously going to go up a fair bit. I mean, what about someone like Enzo Fernandez? Would you be getting rid of Enzo Fernandez for Wilson?
Yeah, I can get behind Enzo. I quite like Bruno G as an option. I think he's going to do quite well, and the fixtures aren't bad coming up, so I don't know if I'd do that. Enzo, yeah. I'm looking at, so to give an example, I might do Semenyo down to Zoboslai, and then that will be what frees up the money to do Bar to Wilson for me. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, as opposed to just doing Semenyo down to a Wilson myself. But yeah, there's some really good cheap mids this season. Obviously King at the start of the season, but he's not really got the goal involvements or the minutes. But Stack I think is great. Vifa, then there's Dewsbury Hall, and then there's Wilson. So we kind of sport this season in terms of those cheap players. But yeah, Wilson obviously by far the best there.
Yeah. Do you think Harry Wilson would eventually become Dewsbury Hall for you? So because obviously, like we've said, Everton's fixtures turned quite nice from game week 18. Do you think that's the kind of natural move you'd make, or do you think Harry Wilson would be a bit of a mainstay in your team for 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, I think I'd probably have to commit to one to the other. And if Dewsbury Hall's available, honestly, I don't know if I would go Wilson if I've got a straight choice between the two.
Yeah.
It's close between those two though. Like Dewsbury Hall, he's having a great season. I think he was something like 6th in the midfielder rankings at one point. Maybe not after last game, but he's still right up there. Yeah, he's tied for points on Saka. You're talking 5.2 million difference between them. I just think he's such unbelievable value, Dewsbury Hall. But again, maybe Everton are one that could be effective with AFCON because they've got Ndiaye and Garner Gay. Obviously, they've left. So yeah. If he does end up missing next game week, and maybe Grealish as well, plus Ndiaye and Garner Gay, then obviously that looks quite good from the perspective of having a few Arsenal players in my team. I don't know if I'd go as far as captain in Saka, but I'm quite happy to have Timber and Raya for that game.
Yeah, you were just talking about AFCON again there, so that's why I brought up the talking points, because our last talking point is AFCON, and we have a brilliant graphic coming up now, which is showing all the players that are going to AFCON and the countries that they are representing, and then also their bookmakers' chances of getting to the last 16, to get into the quarterfinals, to get into the last 4. And then what we've done is said what their projected finish is and their possible return date. And this is genuinely, it's such a good little graphic, this.
Wow.
And if you want to, I think it has, but I need to double check that because there's no credit thing anywhere. So I'm assuming it was, but I'm just going to resize it quickly because it's going over you. There we go. But it's genuinely awesome, and if you want to, grab a screenshot of this, it's one of the best things we've had up on here for quite a while. And like I said, it shows all those players that are going. So it's got Algeria with 8 Nori, Burkina Faso, which is Dango Ouattara. We've got Cameroon, which is Baleba Anambumo, obviously. We've got Congo, DR Congo, which is Twanzebe, Sadiki, Masuaku, and then Wan-Bissaka, who I was mentioning earlier. I wasn't saying Mukiele was going to AFCON earlier. I was saying that Wan-Bissaka was going because a few people said that in the chat. Marmouche, Ivory Coast, Ahmad is going, and then Sangare as well, and Agbado. We've got Mali, which is Basuma, Morocco, Mazrari, and Talbi. Mozambique is Ronaldo for Sunderland. So many of these players are genuine players for their teams. Nigeria, Onyeka, Bassi, Iwobi, and Chukwueze, who we mentioned earlier. Senegal, Ismail Assar, Gay, Njai, Diarra, Diouf as well. South Africa, Foster for Burnley. Tunisia is Hannibal, and then Zimbabwe is Chiwera for Wolves. Now, when you look at the teams here in terms of who's expected to go on for a very long time, Algeria, Egypt, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Nigeria, Senegal are all expected to go to kind of the quarterfinals or the last 4s, which means we're not going to get those players back till around 22, 23. It makes a massive difference for some of those players. And obviously we've got those free transfers to get rid of them. But when you're looking down this list, Oscar, I know you mentioned earlier about it's tough to say how much of an impact losing some of these players is going to have. But when you look down it, gut feel, who are the ones that are going to be most impacted by their players going?
Maybe Sunderland. I believe they're losing a few starters, are they not? There was a list somewhere of group by team, which is another useful way of looking at it. I think Sunderland were losing quite a few starters, but yeah, it's really hard to say. The one thing I've been looking at, not so much which teams will be affected, but also which teammates could benefit. Which, for example, Man City, I brought O'Reilly because Nori's leaving, so in theory, O'Reilly just looks like an unbelievable pick. He's third best defender for XGI this season. It's really hard to say which teams. Maybe Everton will be one of those to lose their best player really and die, and also Ghana Gay, like he's pivotal in midfield. Maybe Everton could suffer. Man United with Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui. I think those are the three big losses. Maybe Bruno will play as a 10. I don't know what Amram will do there. I don't know. What are your instincts on this?
No, I agree with you. I think United are going to... I think that's a big loss for United. To lose Ahmad and Mbeumo, who play on the same side and have a really good kind of relationship in that team as well, I think is going to be a massive loss. Mazraoui, he was already annoyed that Mazraoui had to go a little bit earlier, and we kind of got punished for playing on a Monday night. So I think that's a massive loss for them. I'll be really interested to see how Sunderland do without some of their players that are going. I think Siddiqui is a really good player, and I think he's had a really good season, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. Obviously, they're not so good away from home, but at home they've been a bit of a powerhouse. I'll also be interested at how it affects Thiago, because Utara going, I think, is pretty big for Brentford. I think he's been very, very good in terms of an attacking outlet. He's also been very good at winning penalties, and we know that Thiago's XG...
He won like 4 of his 5 or something, didn't he? So, that could be a factor in terms of Thiago's output.
Yeah, and Thiago's output is not good unless he's winning penalties. His XG, his non-penalty XGI is not very good at all, is it?
Yeah, he's another good example, going back to your early question on the season. I picked him up in Game Week 11, so that was a little bit earlier, and I didn't expect much of him, but obviously he's ended up becoming quite template. So, yeah, he's another example. Dango could be a big loss. I don't know. I'm trying not to overthink it, because obviously you can think about it so much and end up just putting yourself in a worse position by over-analysing something that maybe isn't even a factor. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Next game week, obviously, is the first week to kind of find out how things shake up.
Yeah, big time. It's an amazing graphic, and I think it's awesome. The other thing that should be said about this as well is that tournaments never go the way you think. So although these are the percentages, Morocco 52%. So they've got 52% chance of reaching the last 4, 71% chance of reaching the quarterfinal. But you've seen stats like this before where they change very, very quickly, because all of a sudden upsets happen in tournament football. So you never know. Some of these players, like we could get Salah back in game week 20 without anybody really massively blinking an eye. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting graphic, and it's something that is obviously there. It's just a shame, I think, with those 5 free transfers, we didn't have more players that were going that were in our teams, if that makes sense. Like Sarr kind of got injured. Salah's been a non-factor for a bit. So's Marmoush. Nori was at one point, but then went. It's such a shame, isn't it? We didn't have to have these 5 free transfers, did we?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Obviously, at the start of the season, I think that was the one point that was, probably got the most outrage in terms of all the changes, these 5 free AFCON transfers. And as it's played out, some of us have not had a single AFCON player. And I think most people would still say it wasn't needed. But I think also a lot of people would say they were glad to have those transfers, like in the context of some of the transfers people just made last week. A lot of people spent 3, 4, some used up all 5. So I don't know. I'd be interested to know what people in the chat have to think about it. I think a lot of people would be glad that we got the transfers, but didn't like the idea, if that makes sense.
Yeah, big time. It's just how it's happened, isn't it? Because in another world, we all had Salah. Salah was having a great season. We'd all have him. We might have Utara. O'Reilly might not have emerged, and Nori might not have got injured. And all of a sudden, we've got Mbeumo anyway. And all of a sudden, we got 4 or 5 in it kind of, that's the way you use them. But yeah, it's just how it's happened. But those are our talking points for tonight. So we've gone through all 4 there. I did forget to go back to the great and the good. So we're going to have a quick look at that. Basically, I didn't want to bring this up. One, because Az asked me not to, because we've got 2 lovely bookends here. With FPL Focal, you would be top of the Great and the Good League. You would be top by 7 points, beating Huss E, who was new in this year. So you would be top with a 17k rank. Az would be comfortably bottom, 170 points behind you, I think it is. In 3.4 million he is currently. I've had a little bit of a rise, gone above a few players there, which is quite nice. I'm just below Luke, and then Mark Southern's after his 101 points has absolutely catapulted up. So interesting to see this table, and obviously you being top.
Gray had actually offered me before the season to be added to it, and I said no to him. I was like, there's way better managers than me, so I actually turned him down. I was like, I don't want to be added. And if I'm honest, I kind of just I'm happy to go under the radar if I do end up having a decent season, which is what happened. But Yeah, I mean, Hussey's a terrific manager. Harry's having another great season. Tom, #1 all-time manager, he's doing well. He captained Bruno last game week, and he had Cunha and Semenyo. So he had like an amazing Monday night as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great seasons playing out here. Ben's on the comeback as well. Like, you can never rule Ben out of having a top season. I think he's going for 6 or 7 top 10Ks in a row.
Ridiculous,
which is
isn't
unbelievable. It? Yeah.
It's been really interesting watching Ben this year, considering the fact he had a tough start. So I don't think he's had quite such a tough start, but he just climbed back up like so quickly. And now, where is he now? 262k. I think you'd be halfway through. 200 odd k is absolutely fine, isn't it? So it's obviously kind of how it happens. As a few people have mentioned, by the way, that a few of the reds on here should definitely be green. They definitely should be. Yeah, they're just red. I don't know why. But it should be mentioned. I've got to mention this the week he's not on. FPL General is now almost 30 points ahead of Az, and he has chosen not to have Haaland or Salah this season.
No Salah Haaland challenge.
Yeah, and he is now almost 30 points ahead of Az. So Az, you need to pull your finger out, my man. I don't know what you're doing. I just think he needs to try harder.
It's like years ago, I remember Ben Crabtree went no Liverpool because he's an Everton fan. He ended up winning FPL.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things. Like, imagine Haaland and Salah just have a bad season, and General would have been well on his way to winning the whole thing by now. But obviously, the way Haaland's been going about things, not so much. But yeah, I mean, he was halfway there with Salah falling off this season. But yeah, I respect the challenge. I don't think I could do that to myself.
No, big time no. So let's have a look then at our first little bit, which is our data. Before we do, though, we should mention the new feature that we've got at Scout, which is the Pass the Eye test. It's awesome. You can literally go on the Pass the Eye test article, and then you can look up all the highlights of the games that have happened. And it's for all those managers that, yes, you can get very, very dry and start looking into all the data, all the XGI, all the XGI non-penalty per 90, all that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. But if you're a manager that just wants to look at some highlights, look at some players playing, you love watching Match of the Day on a Saturday, you can go onto the website and you can see all of the highlights on the website now, which is fantastic. So if you want to have a go at doing that, you're more than welcome to give it a look. And obviously Scout membership has been such a good thing for me this year. Some of their articles this season have been absolutely brilliant, so make sure you give it a look. Now, let's have a look at, I was going to bring up the team data defense from the previous 6. So this is the last 6 game weeks, because it's actually quite interesting. The fact that the team that is top of the table for XG non-penalty conceded per 90 is Arsenal. No massive surprise there. But the team in second is Manchester United. And Az assured me he checked this 3 or 4 times because he could not believe that they were top. They've conceded 10. They're conceding a lot of shots, but their XG non-penalty conceded per 90 is 0.89. I know. So their defence is actually showing up not being that bad. They have had maybe easier fixtures over the last 6. They're the easiest 6, you would say, looking at this.
Oh, yeah, but, so #1 in that last column there for fixtures over the last 6.
Exactly. Still. But I was quite shocked when I saw it. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know. I'm not hearing anyone out. I'm still not buying like Delict or anything. But yeah, that's it. Really, it's interesting to see that though. Yeah, I'm quite surprised because in my head, you have to be careful, don't you, with FPL? Like, you can certainly like file certain players away in your head and get a bias about them. Like, I'm never going there. I'm not buying that player. I'm not looking at that team. Like, I started this season with Rodgers, and I had him for the first. Do you remember, like, Aston Villa didn't score for 4 games in a row, and then they finally scored on the 5th, and I held on to him for 5 game weeks, and he didn't do anything, and then obviously he's starting to look like an asset again. So, yeah, maybe I need to like look at Man United again as options defensively.
Yeah, it's such a tough one with United, isn't it? Because, like, who do you invest in? Like, because Delict has been good for DEFCON, but he's obviously, suffered a little bit of an injury at the moment. Heaven's come in, Yoro's in and out. So there's no real player you can kind of invest in, apart from maybe someone like Lamans. But I feel like there are better goalkeeper options there. If you had to pick one of those United defenders, who would you be going with?
I'd pick Delict if he was fully fit. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't go there. I think Dale's been doing all right, didn't he? He scored a few games ago, but it'd be Delict or no one, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's interesting, by the way, you brought up attacking for the last 6 and you brought up Morgan Rodgers, because if you look at Aston Villa's data, Aston Villa actually on here are 7th in terms of XG non-penalty per 90 they're put up over the last 6 game weeks. But Rodgers doesn't put up any XGI. Like his XGI is so low. Even in the game he just played, the shot he had, the wonder shot, was 0.02 XG, I think it was. So is he just one of those players that doesn't put up the XG, but you can invest in? Because the fixtures aren't nice moving forward. Like they're really not the best. If you weren't a Rodgers owner, would you be buying him now?
No, I mean, I'll have to have a look at the fixtures again. I'm not currently looking at him, but I am conscious that he's starting to turn his season around. He is playing a lot better recently. He's scoring again, albeit worldy against West Ham. I don't think I'd buy Rodgers right now, personally, but I'd have to have a look at the fixtures again. It's difficult. This is the other thing about those fire free transfers. I feel like a lot of people have sort of ended up in a similar place, like Saka, Foden, Bruno, and then it's like take your pick in terms of the fourth midfielder. Some people are on like Semenyo. So it's difficult to fit players like Rodgers when it does feel like right now there's a really strong template, and I don't know, the template kind of ebbs and flows, doesn't it, throughout every season, and right now it's really strong because people have just had these fire free transfers and spent them. But I think the template will end up going different ways. I think, like I mentioned earlier, Wilson, who Mark just brought in last game, it could be the next big differential to kind of break away, or it could be where the template ends up. But yeah, for me, no, I don't think I would be buying Rodgers right now, especially with those fixtures. Maybe from Game Week 20, Forest, then Palace, then Everton. But yeah, I'd need to see more of these next few.
Yeah, 14th in the table, Fulham are, for XG non-penalty per 90 for the last 6 game weeks. So they're at 1.15. I mean, it's negligible, the difference between 11th and 15th. So there's literally like 0.4 difference between those. Man United are top, 2.03, taking shots for fun at the moment. 2.03 XGI non-penalty per 90 is pretty high considering Man City are in second with 1.88. A lot of us have Bruno. Is there any love for Cunha?
Yeah, I think Cunha's a solid option. I'd rather Cunha over Rodgers for sure. Yeah, he's one where his minutes are just going to be totally secure over this busy winter period just because of the absentees. So yeah, I think Cunha's great.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of Cunha. I'm not going to lie. It's just like you just said, Foden, Bruno, Saka are so set in that midfield, aren't they? Are you going to be spending that much money on a Cunha at that price point when you've got so many other cheap midfielders in there? I mean, Chelsea are fourth, 1.65 XG non-penalty per 90 over the last 6. Palmer's slowly being integrated back in. Is this too early? Is this too early to invest?
Yeah, it's too early for me, but there's a fixture run coming up a bit later that people have been talking about, and I could definitely see myself going for Palmer if he's looking more fit by then. It's game week 22. Brentford home, then Palace away, and then it's game week 24, really where it's just the best run you'll ever see all season. West Ham home, Wolves away, Leeds home, Burnley home. So that's game week 24 to 27. So that's the end of January. So we're still a good 6 weeks away, which is, I'm fine with that. That's plenty of time to kind of assess Palmer and whether I really want to commit to that again, because it's been a stop-start season for him. Obviously, he scored last week, but then he was off before 60, wasn't he? So yeah, let's see how the next 6 weeks go. It's this groin injury that Maresca said. It makes no sense. It's like a kind of ongoing groin issue. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are frustrated they didn't just get the surgery at the start of the season, because he would have been fit and firing by now. But yeah, we don't know the whole story. I guess it's more nuanced than that. But definitely monitoring Palmer. Maybe I'll end up going back to Enzo for that run. Maybe a Chelsea defender. Chalobah's quietly having a great season.
He is.
Have you seen the defender standings? He's 1 point behind Gueye. We've all been talking about Arsenal defence and Palace defence and, O'Reilly and these guys, but he's 1 point off Gueye, so he's having a great season as well, Chalobah. So yeah, him, Cucurella could end up joining the team as well a bit later.
He is. Some of these centre-backs that have decided to start scoring goals when we've introduced AFCON is absolutely, misfired what's been going on with the actual tables. But, I mean, you've just brought up defenders there. If we look at defenders over the last 6, so this is ordered based on... God, I'm trying to think ordered based on FPL points per 90. It's Gusto that's actually top. So Gusto is top with 9.54. Munoz is in second. We've got Murillo, who's also there. De Kuyper. Keane is in 5th. There's quite a few interesting picks on here, I would say, that maybe not a lot of people are thinking about. We mentioned earlier about are the next couple of fixtures actually that easy for Harry Wilson? Murillo here is in third, 8 FPL points per 90. Like, when he plays, he's doing incredibly well. He's a DEFCON beast from what we saw pre-season. Obviously, it didn't start like that, but since they've obviously got Dyson, it's kind of going the other way. They've got Milinkovic there as well. Are they a bit of a wait and see for you, or would that be someone that you might jump on with these extra transfers to be a bit aggressive?
It's just the pricing, isn't it? That's a bit of a shame, because obviously last season Forest had such a great season that we ended up getting really expensive Forest defenders. To be fair, I think like Milenkovic has dropped to 5.1, so it's not that bad, but I'd probably want to go for something a bit cheaper if I was going to buy into the defence. Maybe Nico Williams. Obviously, maybe a bit later in the season, like game week 90, and there's a nice fixture run for Forest. But yeah, maybe not right now, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's really tough. It's not like he's 4.5. I think 5.2 is a lot for a player where you're just not really sure what you're getting, but you kind of are sure what you're getting with an Everton defender. And Keane is sat there at 4.6 million. His DEFCON success is at 60%, which is pretty good. 7.20 FPL points per 90 over the last 6 game weeks. Obviously, Tarkowski has been an absolute beast as well. He's got 9.68 DEFCON per 90, which is one of the highest here. I think it's only Bassi that's higher than him. Is there a case to be said that you pay the extra million for Tarkowski? Would you be going for Keane? I mean, we're talking about, if I bring up the where has it gone? The hop on, hop off again. We're talking about Everton assets from game week 18. They've got Burnley, Forest, Brentford, Wolves, and Leeds in the next 6 game weeks from game week 18 to game week 22. That is a pretty good run, with Everton having kept quite a few clean sheets in the last 6 game weeks anyway. Yeah. What would you be doing? Would you be kind of focusing on Keane, or would you be getting the DEFCON beast Tarkowski? What would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable run. Like, it's one of the best fixture runs, definitely, from game week 18. In terms of Tarkowski versus Keane, yeah, it's close, I think, because Keane is so much cheaper. And I think I would lean towards Keane, just for the saving. And honestly, they could score similarly. It's even possible for Keane to outscore Tarkowski. Branthwaite is apparently back on grass, Moy said, but I still think it could be like 6 weeks or so until we actually see him competing. And even then, like, Keane's, like, some Everton fans would argue Keane's been the better centre-back between him and Tarkowski this season. So I would say Keane if I was picking between the two, yeah. I was just trying to work it out. Looking at where it says last 6, I think this is last 6 starts rather than just last 6 game weeks. And obviously that includes players like Munoz is top there. He's obviously missed last game week. And obviously Reece James, who's like sat a game out completely at some point recently. Yeah. And I think that's the thing with James. I mean, I'd be interested to know, like, people in chat, is there any players that you just swear never to go to? Like, for me, James is one of those. Like, he's great, obviously, the last 6 here when he is playing. But for me, it's like that rotation risk. Like, my brother's got him in his FPL team, and I was talking to him about him. I think it was before the Wolves game recently, and I just said, he's just the sort of player you can't guarantee that he's going to start. And he's great when he does. He's world class when he does. He's like one of Chelsea's most important players, but for me, it's just like I can't go there when I don't trust him. So I'd rather look towards like a Chalobah or a Cucurella. People are saying DCL. Yeah, Digne. Oh, Digne's another one, definitely. Yeah. João Pedro. Yeah, he's the sort of players I don't know if I could go. Maybe João Pedro for that Chelsea fixture run. But yeah, Digne, I've sworn like never going back there. I remember years ago, he scored an own goal in like the 88th minute to wipe his own clean sheet, and I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, Dean's one of those. I'm never going back. Have you got any players like that? It's just I don't care how informed they are. I'm not going there.
Oh, Luca Dean was one. Luca Dean was definitely one. I mean, back in the day, Lukaku was on that kind of troll level as well. Obviously, it's not defenders, but he was definitely up there for me as well. I mean, I suppose the thing that's happened with DEFCON this year is that you don't really have that risk and reward anymore, do you? So you used to go for those wing backs and those full backs because, yes, they could keep a clean sheet like the centre backs, but at least you had that kind of, well, I'll go for Reece James because at least if he plays, I can get those attacking returns. But with DEFCON now, you're way more likely to get a Chalobah because he can get the DEFCON and he's obviously getting some set-piece goals as well. But it doesn't even seem a contest anymore, does it?
No, I'd agree. What do you think about DEFCON, just out of interest, like reflecting on it? We're near like the halfway mark of the season. Do you think it's been a good addition to the game?
I actually think it has. The thing I think is really tricky is being able to price them correctly at the beginning of the season, because so many things can change in a pre-season or in the summer, that all of a sudden those players that got DEFCON before don't get DEFCON again, or those players, like for instance Gabriel, it was supposed to be that he wasn't going to get DEFCON. And he's been an absolute beast for it. And it's really then hard to price them up. So, for instance, Senesi would have been 5 million to start the season, but he wasn't. He was 4.5 million. And obviously he became a just ridiculous for DEFCON. I think he got 20 against Manchester United. So it's really hard knowing how to price them. That's the thing I would say. So you can't have 4.5 million DEFCON masters in defence, basically. And obviously, like Anderson, I think midfielders are priced about right, personally. Like, I feel like that's right, but it's just those cheap DEFCON boys that makes it hard, I think. I don't know what your take is.
Yeah, I think it's been a great addition. I really like it. And ultimately, points are fun, and it just gives you something extra to cheer on in a game. Yeah. It's just so painful when you're watching a game and the clean sheet gets wiped, and then it's like, realistically, what are your chances of that defender getting an attack in return? It's just so unlikely. But DEFCON just feels like a small win, something to look toward, kind of like to hope that you still get. But yeah, I don't envy like Mark having to price all these defenders next season, because obviously it's these mid-table defenders and defences that have produced more DEFCONs. But it's hard to predict which teams will sort of have a bubble season. Yeah. Last season it was Forest, and Forest would have been incredible for DEFCONs. But this season, obviously, it's been a more difficult roller coaster season for Forest. So, yeah, he's got a difficult job. Whoever has to price the defenders next season.
My only other thing with DEFCON is I do think it's taken just a little bit away from the excitement of watching exciting fullbacks. So, like for instance. Diouf at the beginning of the season was so incredibly good at getting forward. He was getting a few assists. No one owned him. Literally no one owned him, because you all went for, everybody went for Senesi, Anderson, those cheap DEFCON boys. And I do think it takes just a little bit away from that. I mean, Munoz should have been 70-80% owned, but because you've got Gahey and Lacroix, Richards, who are all getting DEFCON every week, it was really tough to justify it in some ways, if that makes sense. So I do think it's taken a little bit away from that. I don't know really how you can remedy that, apart from making, Gahey and Lacroix the same price, I guess. But that's the only thing I would say. I mean, I don't want to make everything doom and gloom, so we'll look at the last 6 for midfielders. And this is ranked by XGI non-penalty per 90. Garnacho is top. I don't really like talking about him as a United fan, but we got Harvey Barnes in second, and then Salah in third. Cunha is in fourth, 0.72 XGI non-penalty per 90. He is above Saka in terms of this table. I do think, especially with the fixtures coming up, if we have a look at the hop-on, hop-off for Manchester United. So, hop-on, hop-off for Manchester United. We've got... I have to go so far down the table to find them now. 17 and 18, I wouldn't say are overly nice. Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home. But then Wolves, Leeds and Burnley. So they've got all the promoted teams. They've got Wolves, Leeds and Burnley from 19 to 21, with no Mbumo there as well. Do you think you'll be trying to keep a little bit in the bank, or looking to maybe get Acuna in that role?
I'll be honest, I didn't even notice that run of games. So now I'm wondering maybe if Semenyo to Cunha is actually the solution. Yeah, that's a ridiculous run of 3 games. So, yeah, in terms of hop on, hop off, like Cunha game week 19, and then you hop off game week 22 when Man United have got City and Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I really like Cunha as an option, and the data's been great. His owners have been unlucky not to get more out of him. So, yeah, I think he's a great pick.
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. I mean, Saka in 5th. Bruno Fernandes, 0.65 XGI non-penalty per 90, considering the fact he does have penalties as well. But in 10th there, Cherky. Now, everybody's been jumping to try and get Man City assets into their team. Cherky has quietly, I know he was injured for a little bit, and I know his minutes are a little bit awry at times, but he's got 5 assists in his last 6 appearances, 3.61 chances created per 90, which is up there. I think it's only Doku and Salah that are beating him on this table. His creativity cannot be denied, but is he worth being your second or third City asset, do you think?
God, it's such a difficult one as well when you're asking before West Ham home, which is like right now one of the best fixtures you can have. For me, it's still a no, but I tend to play FPL maybe you could call it boring, but I picked the players that I know are nailed and aren't going to let me down. Because I just hate that feeling when you're waiting for the lineups to drop and you're like, is he going to start this week? So I've sort of just removed that feeling from myself, and I just picked the players that I can be confident when the lineups come out, they're going to start. So my team, it's like, Thiago, Haaland, Saka, Bruno, Semenyo, Virgil, these guys, Timber. And I don't know, for me, Cherky, I think he'll start most games, and his data is unbelievable. But is it enough if he starts 4 out of every 5? I don't know, maybe that's not what it'll be, but I don't know. I'd be interested to know what the viewers say about Cherky and whether it's worth, because 6.5 is cheap as well. But I think for me, I'd be going elsewhere, maybe a Cunha, and just find the extra money.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I suppose the thing is, if you've got Haaland and Foden, which I think most people should do, it's whether you go for a Cherky over, say, O'Reilly, or a Cherky over a Gvardiol or Ruben Diaz, who have both been doing quite well at the moment.
That's actually a really good point as well.
Yeah, it does.
Because obviously O'Reilly looks like such a nice option as well. And FPL is just ultimately about getting the most points per million out of your players, isn't it? And maybe O'Reilly is better for points per million over the upcoming run of games, especially in the context of Nori at AFCON and impossibly being nailed.
Harry Wilson, by the way, is 20th on this table. So he is 20th on this table, 0.47 XGI non-penalty per 90, but smashing it for the points he is getting. So is that an asset that is going to regress at some point, or is that an asset that doesn't need to put up the XGI, he's just going to get the points?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he's evidently playing with so much confidence. He's in the best patch of his career, Silva said himself. So in theory, he could definitely keep the run going. But yeah, you'd like to see slightly better numbers. But I suppose 20 isn't bad in the whole context of the league. I don't know how many midfielders there are in total, but maybe that's still top 10% or something, which might be a better way of looking at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's a perfectly fine option for that cheap.
Yeah, I mean, he's 20th, and like you said, in terms of how many midfielders are in the game, that might not be too bad. But in 41st and 44th, respectively, is Semenyo and Rodgers. Semenyo with 0.30 XGI non-penalty per 90 in his last 6 appearances. Rodgers less than that, 0.28. The one good thing you can say about Semenyo is he's got 2.40 shots in the box per 90, so he is still shooting. It's a tough one with those two. Obviously, Semenyo is getting brought in quite a bit this week because he's got the lovely fixture in Burnley at home. Rodgers, the fixtures aren't there. If you were picking between the two at the moment for a player that you wanted to buy and maybe hold for 3-4 weeks, which one would you be going with?
I would say Semenyo, definitely, but I think it'd have to be the next two, and then you hop back off. It's just Burnley home. It's like this season, there's been 9 double-digit returns produced in Burnley home. Any team playing Burnley home, and I think Burnley have played away 8 times. So basically, on average, there's at least 1 per game.
Yeah.
Wolves away is the only fixture that's had more double-digit returns with 11. So I think like Operation Target Burnley is like a valid strategy this season. It certainly worked like last season, for example. People did that with Southampton, didn't they? And that worked nicely. So I think buying Semenyo, even if it's just for 2 weeks, is perfectly sound as a strategy. Even if it's a bit messy to hop on and hop off that quickly, I think it could be. I think it could be worth it. Yeah, especially like given. What did Wilson get against Burnley last game? Like 16 points?
16. Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
Some of us are just sat there with Semenyo already in our teams, aren't they, Oscar? Let's have a look.
Nice.
Let's have a look at forwards from the last 6. So this is based on XGI per 90. Watkins is top with 0.70. It's amazing how quickly that passing of the torch has happened from Watkins to Rodgers, isn't it? Watkins was just the main man for Villa last year. Rodgers had a good season, but how quickly it's gone from being Watkins to Rodgers. Calvert-Lewin, who has obviously...
Is that why he's not on this week?
He was abused for weeks for having Calvert-Lewin. He scored 4 games in a row and wiped out the Brentford clean sheet. So Calvert-Lewin is second here with 0.66. Evan Nilsson in third. We've got Nemecha. I have to bring up Calvert-Lewin. 4 in 4. Great header at the weekend as well. 5.6 million. Is he worth being your third striker?
He can score a header from a halfway line. I'm not going there. He's one of those, like going back to that what we were saying earlier, is there any players you swear to never buy? For me, it's James Digne, Calvert-Lewin.
Fair.
Emmanuel Dennis, if he ever comes back to the Prem.
Emmanuel
I might
Dennis.
have been retired by now. But yeah, I'm never going. Just not for me, Calvert-Lewin. No, I had him. I had him when Ancelotti was in charge of Everton a long time ago, and he was great for me that season. But
with James Rodriguez.
Yeah. Oh god, what a team! But there's been a few times since that I've gone there and just regretted it. So he's like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, I mean, somebody that we could go back, well, not back to, but somebody that we could try and invest in, and I think a lot of people are thinking about it, maybe not for this week, but for the next week definitely, is Ekitike. He is 4.33 shots per 90. He is leading this list for shots per 90. Like he absolutely loves taking a shot. His shot accuracy isn't up there, but obviously that might happen with the amount of volume he gets. His conversion is 28.60, so he's not doing too badly there either. 0.63 XGI per 90, and his FPL points per 90 is right up there at 9.28. Is higher than everybody else on this list, even Calvert-Lewin. What's your thoughts on Ekitike? Will he be coming into your team fairly soon?
No, despite everything you just said, no, he won't be. I just think for $1 million cheaper, I'd rather Bowen. I think Ekitike is a nice option, and there are some unbelievable fixtures coming up. So maybe it's another example to hop on, hop off. Get me 18, 19. Wolves home, Leeds home. Thank you for the points. Off he goes. But I think longer term, I'd rather have Bowen, which maybe is also an unpopular take, but I think, that's where I'd rather go if I was going to have a third forward. And I've been looking at Ekitike because when I sell Semenyo, I've got the option to go all the way down to a super cheap player like a Stack, and then I can unlock that third forward spot again for someone like a Bowen or an Ekitike. But I think right now I'd rather go Bowen, as mad as that sounds. I know Gakpo's out as well, isn't he? So in theory he should be nailed, but
Wolves home, Leeds home.
Where are you at with Ekitike?
Wolves home, Leeds home at 18, 19. With Thiago, who's Thiago got? So Thiago's got Bournemouth and Spurs in 18 and 19, both at home as well. So it's whether you go from Thiago to Ekitike, or do you try and get someone like a Gu or a Krupi Jr., whatever it is, up to Ekitike. I do think there's some merit with Wolves and Leeds at home. It doesn't look bad, does it?
No, you're right. It is definitely an opportunity to hop on, hop off, like the Semenyo example I just gave. So I'd be a hypocrite if I said it's not viable. For me, Thiago's a no-go because I got him, like I said, game week 11. So I bought him when he was 6.2 and now he's 7.2. So I just can't do that because then I might want him back. And I don't think I'd sell Thiago anyway with 2 home games. I think it'd have to just be if you've got a Krupi or a Gu as your third forward, maybe you do just hop on, especially if, in fairness, it's like team dependent, isn't it? If you're in a position where you've got 4 transfers, then why not? Why not just hop on Ekitike for 2 games, see what happens, hop back off?
Yeah.
But if you've got like some issues with your team and you've only got 1, maybe 2 transfers, then it's one to kind of like balance, isn't it? And where to spend those transfers, and it could be a little bit risky. Targets in Ekitike, but I don't know. It's 2 very good fixtures in a row, isn't it?
Nixie, by the way, has mentioned in the chat that Thiago wasn't in the Brentford squad tonight as well. I think we mentioned that earlier too, but we need to find out exactly why that was, because not being in the squad at all was a little bit random. Let's have a look at the fixture predictions for this week. So we've got all the predictions for this game week, and it's got mine and Az's up there at the moment. I've gone in the Newcastle-Chelsea game. I've actually gone for a Newcastle win. I've gone 2-1 Newcastle. Az has gone 0-0. Where are you going?
Sorry, I was reading the messages. So Newcastle have knocked Fulham out in the stoppage time, but there's Livramento and Hall went off injured. Are you joking? Oh no, Hall was injured before the game. Livramento went off injured. That's crazy. So they've lost both fullbacks, but they're through. Sorry, what was your question?
Newcastle-Chelsea. Where are you going for this one?
I'm going to go... Well, based on what I've just said, I think Chelsea might actually win that. I would say 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I might change that now based on the fact if they don't have Hall, Livramento or Burn...
There's no way that's 0-0. I guess Az didn't know either about the injuries.
Yeah. No, I think that might swing it for me for a 2-1 to Chelsea. Bournemouth-Burnley, I've gone 2-0 Bournemouth, so is Az.
I'll go 3-0.
Ooh, you're Semenyo owner, aren't you? Semenyo owner.
Optimistic Semenyo owner.
Brighton, Sunderland. I've gone 2-1 Brighton. Az has gone 2-0.
Yeah, I'll go 2-1 as well.
Yeah, I'd like that. Sunderland away from home. They're just not the same as at home, are they? Wolves against Brentford. I've gone 2-1 Brentford. Az has gone 2-0.
Yeah, I agree with you again, 2-1.
Yeah, I love a 2-1. Man City West Ham. I've gone 2-1 for that one. West Ham. Az has gone 2-0. Do you fancy them putting up a few goals against West Ham?
Yeah, I'll go 3-0 to City.
Yeah.
If you still got your triple captain, like, let us know in chat. Are you using it this week? What would you do, Andy? Haaland this week or Bruno 19 or something else?
No, I think if you still have it, I think this is the week to play it. I genuinely do. Yeah, I think, I mean, I can't say much because I did exactly the same as you. I triple captain Haaland in the week he got 2 points against Leeds. So, I mean, I don't know how you can pick the week when Haaland doesn't haul this year, but there you go.
It's the one chip I always get wrong. Like, he used to do it last season when he had Southampton home. He did score, but like 6 points felt like a massive failure last season. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Spurs, Liverpool. I've gone 2-1 to Liverpool. Az has gone 2-2. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I'll say 2-2 as well with Az.
Really? That's interesting. I do wonder with Salah gone. Obviously, he came back and things were a bit better. I do wonder with Salah gone. I mean, I suppose Szoboszlai they're hoping could play in that game.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that table you showed earlier, Spurs were like third worst, I think, over the last 6 for XG. So, but they're really like under pressure right now. So I don't know. It would be bad if they lost this one.
Yeah. Everton, Arsenal. I've gone 1-0 Arsenal. I think Everton are quite depleted at the moment. Az has gone 2-1 to Arsenal. What do you reckon?
2-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah. Leeds, Crystal Palace. I've gone 2-1 Leeds. Again, I feel Crystal Palace are tired at the moment. And it's, I think Glasner's literally come out today and said the people that start in the midweek game against Cups, I think they're called, isn't it, will not be starting at the weekend. So there's got to be some kind of rotation there. So Az has gone 2-1 Palace. I think it's going to be a tough one for him.
Yeah, I'll go 1-0.
Yeah? Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for Palace, that one. Villa, Manchester United. I've gone 2-1 Villa. I think they're a much better team than us. Az has gone 2-1. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'll say 2-1 as well to Villa.
And then Fulham, Nottingham Forest, which is on the Monday night. There's so many games on the Saturday. On the Monday night at 8 o'clock, Fulham, Nottingham Forest. I've gone 2-1 Fulham. Az has gone 1-1. What do you reckon?
I'm going to go 0-0.
Really?
Or draw. Yeah. It's going to be a massive disappointment. Everyone's going to be like, I can't believe I waited for that. Although Anderson clean sheet would be nice.
Yeah, it would be very nice. Let's have a look at the current standings of the Prediction League. It is Actor Jeff that is at top with 121 points, 54% correct outcome and 11% correct score. Hesmo in second and Mercurial Squid as well, still my favourite name. They are 5 points behind Actor Jeff. Tom G is in fourth with Jobalob in fifth. Richard Morris up next with me just behind with 109 points. Healthy lead, I would say, over Az with 105. I am much better at predicting what's going to happen in the game. He's much better at predicting a correct score. So that's the difference between us at the moment. But well done to Actor Jeff, who's got a commanding lead, 5 points clear at the moment. Looking at captaincy for this week. So captaincy for this week at the moment, it looks like Foden would be the one that we should be going with. 10.53 points per 90 he's averaging at the moment. Bruno Fernandes is also high up there, but obviously, do you think this is a week where we should be going against Haaland? Because that's the question every week, Oscar.
No, I don't think this is the week. I think there's been opportunities. I think last game was a good example, but obviously didn't work out in the end because Haaland ended up outscoring Saka. Bruno ended up the best last week. I don't think I'd go against Haaland in a week like this. I think, for example, Bruno in 19 Wolves home is definitely the next big opportunity to go against Haaland. But for me, not this week.
No, I don't think so either. It's one of those weeks where sometimes you can talk about it, but to be honest, every time we've tried to go against Haaland this year, it hasn't really worked out. You could do it with Saka, he gets 2 returns, Haaland still outscores him. The week Haaland did blank, everybody else did, so it's an absolute nightmare most of the time. Let's have a look at our actual teams then. So this is my team going into the game week. I've got 3 free transfers and 1.6 in the bank. I got Raya, Timber, O'Reilly, Anderson and Senesi. Quite like that back 5, to be fair. Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Saka and Minter with Thiago and Haaland up top. Haaland is my bus captain at the moment. Mukiele, Xhaka and Krupi Jr. on the bench. I'd love a Krupi Jr. start.
Yeah.
I really would. I was talking about this on Scoutcast last night, saying that the problem is, even if I call him starting, which I did a couple of weeks ago and he did start, he's only going to get 60, 65 minutes anyway. But it's whether that's enough against Burnley. I'm not sure. I could probably see Evan Nilsson starting anyway.
Yeah, he will. Especially after he got the goal against United. I know Krupi came on and scored, but Evan Nilsson had a pretty good game and obviously scored himself. So I don't think I'd risk it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? That's got to be an easy role, no?
Yeah. I'll be rolling to 4 free transfers, and then I've got 4 free transfers, 1.6 million in the bank for game week 18, where I could get in some Liverpool, some Everton, and I could maybe have a little bit of fun with some of those picks. So I think it's a good roll.
Not tempted to start Xhaka? You got him second on the bench over Anderson.
I do. No, I'll be starting Anderson. I think I feel okay about that, and obviously Anderson's there with DEFCON. Xhaka's. I brought him in. I benched him for his only return since I've owned him, and he's not been that great for as an own. But no, I feel okay about it. The one person I could bring in, I think I could do Minter to Semenyo, but I don't know. There's something about it.
You got the money for that?
Yeah, so I got 1.6 in the bank. Yeah, let me just check whether I can do that in one move. I know. I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's not. But it just seems crazy to sell Minte before Sunderland home.
It does.
It could go either way. I mean, Semenyo is better.
Yeah, I can do it in one move.
Maybe not significantly, and it could be one of those like Minte does well against Sunderland and you just regret it. But I could go either way, that one. So I'd probably err on the side of not doing it.
I'm at that space at the moment where whichever one I choose to do will be the wrong way to do it. But obviously it's saving a free transfer as well. So it's the fact I've got another free transfer after it, or it's Semenyo against Burnley. I mean, Brian in the chat just put it's Burnley, Andy. Exactly. It's whether I do that.
What are you going to do? So beyond this game with 4 free transfers, have you got any ideas what you might do with those?
Well, I was waiting to see whether Szoboszlai was fit, and if he is, and if he plays against Spurs, then I'm quite fancying bringing him in because he could be on penalties as well. So it would be Minter to Szoboszlai probably after that. Quite a few people said about Minter's got Burnley in a couple of weeks, but it's quite a few weeks ago, so I don't think I'd be keeping him just for that Burnley game. So and maybe moving someone like Mukiele to Keane or Tarkowski or something like that would be quite nice. I don't want to use all my 4 free transfers in that 1 week, but just having them for 18 seems like quite a nice little move to be able to do. And it's whether I try and use those to free up some funds to get an Ekitike in potentially for 18 and 19 could be quite a nice move as well. So if I get Semenyo in for Minter, it immediately strangles me a little bit in terms of the moves I can make moving forward. So it's just, I mean, if he gets 18 points, I don't care. But it's whether he'll do that and whether Minter matches him in some way.
Yeah, you might want to go like Senesi to Van Dijk or something if you could afford that. From game week 18. Yeah.
I know, I ditched Van Dijk last week, so it's all coming round, isn't it? I did, yeah, for Timber. Let's have a look at your team, though. Let's have a look at a team that is so well set up and ready for the fixture runs coming up. And do you know what? It's funny because obviously, 17k, there's 650 odd ranks between us, but our teams are almost identical.
I know, I was going to say, like, we've got very similar teams in fairness. Arguably yours is better. I've got Virgil, you've got Senesi, so it's just kind of how Semenyo versus Minte goes. Definitely this week as a roll. Beyond that, I'm looking at Szoboszlai as well. Yeah, going back to like what you were saying earlier about those Liverpool fixtures and Ekitike, it might be for me I have to just go Semenyo to Szoboszlai. Yeah. And then that does free up the money to like improve the bench because Bar and Cube is like a pretty shocking bench. And I do need that depth, I feel, over this winter period because as I said at the start of the pod, I think it's 4 game weeks in 11 days, so that there's going to be rotation. It's going to be hard to predict. And even like I've been saying, I pick nailed players. Even some of these nailed players are not nailed. There's going to be random benchings in my team. It could be Thiago. I think he's one that might get one at some point. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. There's something else I was going to say, but I've forgotten what it was. But yeah, this week it's a roll anyway. And then beyond that, yeah, Semenyo to Zoboslai, maybe. I'm not a massive fan of Zoboslai, but the fixtures are so good, and I just don't know what else to do there to get into that Liverpool attack. I don't think I'll buy Ekatike because I'd have to make 3 transfers. Like Semenyo down to a stack or something isn't enough. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So obviously Haaland captain, Foden vice. Forgot to read it out for the ordinary listers, my bad. Yeah, Raya, Virgil, O'Reilly, Anderson, Timber, Saka, Semenyo, Bruno, Foden, Thiago and Haaland. So yeah, it's just like Mukiele's my only bench player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm conscious of improving my bench in the near future. Just not sure exactly how yet, but that's fine. I don't mind not knowing exactly what I want to do because it's arguably worse if you're like, I need to do X, Y and Z, but right now it's kind of open.
Yeah, no, I like it, and you're in a commanding position. Anyway,
that's what I was going to say. So I don't know if you've seen on live FPL, you can look up like the ownership of player combinations, and obviously I was saying earlier the template feels so strong, but I was looking at it earlier, and my front 6 looks really template, but those 6 in combination in the top 100k is only 5% owned, and that's in the top 100k where the template is arguably strongest. So obviously like, owning these players in combination in itself is a differential. So yeah, that's definitely something I've kind of told myself as well, not to go differential for the sake of it, and just pick the players that you really think will score the most points. But yeah, as I said at the start of the show, it's been a lucky season so far, and that'll probably run out soon, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Long may you keep creating yourself luck, mate. Let's have a look at the Black Box League. So the Black Box League is currently Henry that's top the A-team. He's on 1,103 points.
Wow.
He had 67 points this week. But somebody who absolutely charged up was Jamie McDonald with 102 points. Had to beat Mark Southerns by 1 point this week. He's charged up. He only had 899 points before this week, and he's now got 1,101. So not bad at all.
I do videos of top all-time managers, and Jamie is involved in that as well. So I think
really?
He's like hopping in all the leagues to try and get the prizes or something. Yeah, he's 69th in the world right now. He's having a mad season. And he's one of those, like, it's not a fluke. Like, he's got some really good finishes, like 564th before. So, yeah, what season for Jamie? Maybe he'll go and win the whole thing.
Nah, fair play to him. We've got Per Mitander, who had 89 this week. In 4th is Ulf Juan. And then in 5th is Mohsin Malik. In 6th is Jack Neal. 7th, Rebecca Maguire. 8th, Gary Huen. 9th, Cameron Wright. And in 10th is Armand Dabar. And then in the Black Box Godfather League, we've got Benjamin Lund at the top, 1,047 points, 92 points this week. Kieran Scully in 2nd, Stuart Thompson in 3rd, Angus Chow in 4th, with Darren Kim in 5th, with Ryan Mendelsohn in 6th.
Some
Simon,
great team names.
Yeah, I'm not
Murder
reading
on
all
the
those
Dance
out,
Floor. We've got Red Nose Rinders.
Ocarina of
Let's know
Time
in
is
the
a great
chat.
name.
What's your team name? What's everyone's team names? Let's get some inspiration.
Simon,
Two-man amen.
For better or worse.
Simon begins.
Simon Hesmondar in 7th, Jeff Turner in 8th, Paul Norris in 9th, and Paul Jacobs in 10th.
For better or worse. Brilliant.
Yeah, I like that one.
Creative team name.
I like that one. So, thank you so much for all the people that are in the chat. We've appreciated all of you being in here. I think we topped out about 550 people. FPL Jammer says not 899, no, 999 it would have been. Thank you so much for all the people that have been here. And thank you so much, Oscar, for joining us this evening. Obviously, as completely let us down not being here, but you've stepped into the fray, and I appreciate it very much. So, thank you. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, I suppose it's a pleasure. Happy to fill in. I think there was one super chat from.
Oh,
David's
yes,
family.
there was.
He asked about Klein.
Yes, hang on. There we go. So Davis family says Klein is a pick to enable Semenyo to 2 or 4 transfers. So what do you reckon then, Oscar? Do you think Klein, if it enables you to have Semenyo, would you go there, considering the fact he has been playing with Munoz being out?
Yeah. If it's your only way to him for 3.8 mil, I don't hate it. I think Klein might go on a run of 1 and 2 pointers, so I wouldn't want to start him if you can help it. But I do think there's something in that target Burnley this season, and yeah, I guess West Ham and Wolves as well. So I really like Semenyo for the next couple of game weeks. It's going to be interesting to see how many others like in the FPL space go for that Semenyo purely for 2 weeks, because I don't know, personally, when I'm making transfers, like I'm looking at the next 4 or 5 game weeks minimum.
Yeah.
But it does feel like fixtures like Burnley home are an opportunity to kind of break away from that and just go for a short-term punt. So, yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. Right. Thanks so much for everybody. We'll see you again next week. I'm not sure what it is we're streaming next week because things get quite hectic now. But we'll see you again very, very soon. And we hope all your arrows agree moving forward. From me and from Oscar, thank you very much. Bye-bye.